All right, welcome everybody to another Okie Trade study session. So I wanted to start off with a couple of my trades of the day, and this was a third day surge, but I shouldn't have traded it. Why? You can see that we have this big gap down, and my rule is not to trade stocks that have recently had a big gap down. And basically, the rule is because, all these people that are in from right here are just looking for a spike to get out. But what kind of made me want to break that rule is you don't see any volume on this previous chart history. And then look at all this volume right here. That's one of my favorite indicators for a multi-day breakout that it's going to work. And a day three surge is a variation of a multi-day breakout. But again, broke my rules. Since it was breaking my rules, and we did have this nice strong volume so I decided I was going to trade it. I you know what are you going to do? I went with smaller size. So let's look at exactly how I did take the trade. So my rule on a multi-day breakout day three surge, the entry I'm looking for is first hive day break versus low of day or last best dip. In this case, this one was first hive day entry versus last best dip because I don't think it should go under that. If it goes under this, it's going to get under low a day. And, it actually almost did. It like scared me because it went under here, but then reclaimed. But then obviously it got back under right here. So how did I take it, right? I bought it right here, risking here, and it was looking really nice. And then obviously it pulled all the way back, and I cut it for a loss right here. And I normally don't like to sell into weakness, but if it breaches my stop, that's exactly what I had to do. Was a full loss, but again, it was only about 1/3 the size that I'm taking on multi-day breakouts right now. However, I did make pretty much most of the money back because we had this, because it only broke down for a split second, instant reclaim, and that kind of got me to thinking they probably just tricked me. So after it held sideways right here and perked off of that sideways action, got this nice sideways action, and I noticed that we had this little stair stepper. So I took an entry here, added here, and then once it went up, it should have just shot over high day in my opinion. So once it started to stall out, I just cut it right here at 290 and made basically all the money back I had lost earlier in the morning. But again, just if don't break your rules. I just wasted all this time on this stock. You know what I mean? So if there's a stock that has a recent gap down on the daily chart, just avoid it, in my opinion. Now we do have this day three surge. And now look at the recent volume on the chart, right? It looks like there's a lot of high volume above the stock, which would tell me to typically stay away. But stocks to trade is kind of tripping out here and their chart's wrong. So look at this chart. This is the same one. If you notice, zero volume. And then all this volume pours in, and we have a beautiful breakout. Now, Bryce is the one that got me into this trade, and I just wanted to see kind of, of course, you don't just follow people's alerts, but I took the dip knowing exactly, and I actually played it well. I took it half size because I entered on a spike, but I knew not to enter on a spike with full size, and then after it dipped under that, I added as it turned back up. But as you can see, it didn't break out today. So tomorrow, this is a really good one to watch, GOEV. But again, I wanted to point out no volume on the daily chart, and then we get this huge burst of volume, and that what really gets me excited. So let's look at how I played it today. Right, you see this big spike, and it kind of pulls back, and then it perks up and shows its real strength. Well, then what does it do? It kind of pulls back, goes sideways, And so that's why I basically agreed with Bryce. Yeah, this is about to break out, or it's going to at least push up and then have a strong close, and we'll get a real breakout tomorrow. So after it pulled back, he got in, I believe, 312, he said. So I'm sure it's something like this. Right as it was breaking with this risk level. And then as I saw it perking here, I knew I was going to have to, I didn't want to miss it, which, a little bit of FOMO, fear of missing out. So I actually got long right here. But again, I knew I was probably chasing. So I only took half size and I waited for a strong pullback. And then once we got the strong pullback right here and we curled back off of it, I took it at 312. And now I'm full size. And as you can see, it kind of holds up over VWAP, gets the strong pop, and I sell half instantly at 345. But then once we have this really hard pullback, I sell another piece as we get back up to here, and I only have about 1/3 left. And then once we pop back up to 350 and we can't break, I just cut the rest right there at 348, and then I went disc golfing for the day. But let's go review some stair steppers, why don't we, right? So this is the kind of one that I want to avoid for now. Like, sure, it did work, but it's just ugly, right? Like, it's got decent volume here. You know, this volume right here tells you not to touch it. But once we get this big volume spike right here, we're looking at it. So there could have been your first entry, your second. But then once you see this big wick, you're not looking to add anymore. You're just looking to get out. And then you get that big perk, you sell. So that was, a pretty yucky one. And again, there really wasn't that many great stair steppers on the day. However, there was one really great one, which we'll get into. Now, this one was also pretty clean, right? It's got strong volume, first entry, possible second entry, would risk at break even on the first one. And then you get that third entry. And then once you get that spike back up, you either, sell it. But again, we're looking for four, so maybe you don't. And then once it comes back down, you definitely cut it break even as it goes under your entry. So maybe the smallest, tiniest, if lost, like you lose $1 on that one, right? And then, but these two entries are winners. And then, of course, it spikes without you because, that's life, right? But then we get this nice little setup. And I did take this trade, actually, a small one, because I wasn't sure about it. And then I moved, again, kind of the same thing, where the new risk is your first entry. So now I've got two entries, and then we get that big spike up, and I just sell it right there because I'm kind of annoyed by this stock from previous days, which is a mistake on my part, but actually, it would have been basically the same trade anyways. Now we get to look at the really good one. So tomorrow, if I didn't, obviously we have that really nice multi-day breakout on GOEV to watch, but after that, I want to look for a stock that has huge volume like this, and it needs to be consistent. So look at 300,000, 200,000, 300,000, just over and over and over, very consistent. And obviously, the entries and the exits are very easy. I would clearly risk there, and you kind of get this movement up, but no new like clear ads. You could add here. Then I'm not looking at anywhere around here until we get a new stop. And then I could potentially add here because the stop's new right there. You get that nice push up. Possible add here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we look to sell it into the next spike. Okay, well, it's not spiking. You could potentially add for a fifth one. And then obviously you're going to sell it all right there. So tomorrow, my goal is to make sure that if I do get in on a stair stepper, it's got to have really strong volume and I want it to be consistent. And that tells me that this is the one that's going to work the best. So that's kind of my goal for those tomorrow. Also wanted to look at a few wedges here because I saw a couple nice ones. So we see the volume wedge, right? That tells us to watch it. Also, we see the big spike. So like a flag, right? Notice that the volume burst happens with the entry. Those are usually always the best ones. And I'm not sure if it went 10 to 1. I didn't do the risk to reward on it yet, but let's see here. So 39 risking 35. So it needed to go 40 cents. So 79. Well, it got close, so I would say it went 9 to 1. Another 10 cents would have been 10 to 1. So 9 to 1's pretty good. But again, we're not seeing enough of them and enough high volume ones working on the wedges yet to get me truly interested. But we do also have another one, right? Like shows us it's strong right here. And then what do we have? Another volume wedge. So we can draw our lines. And you'd buy right here. And we do get the volume perk, so it tells us to hold. We get that, and look, and it holds that line. That's the line we're risking. First, we're risking here on an Insta stuff. But once it perks out, we move our stop up to the point of the wedge, and it holds it. And then obviously, you get the volume burst here, a delayed one, and you get this nice move up. So overall, I mean, we're starting to see wedges pick up again, which is really good. And multi-day breakouts are always working. And yesterday you saw the first bounce day, so that's really a great pattern to study up on. And so overall, I'm enjoying the study sessions, and hope you are too. So check, again, if you have any questions, hit me up in Small Cap Rockets. All right, take it easy, y'all.